Welcome to the Backpacking Glacier's podcast. This is the Outdoor Retailer 2024 edition. Yes. And with me today is Mike Crafton. He's a man who once performed a citizen's arrest on a robot and charged it with battery.
Thanks, buddy. Yes, my name is Mike Craft, Tupperware Mike, and with me today is a guy who will drive 9 hours to an outdoor retailer show to be done on the first day of 3 days.
What does that even mean, to be done?
Carl Mando Mandrioli.
What does it mean to be done?
Well, on the first day, at about 11 o'clock, you stopped me and you said, you know what? I'm not going to stop at any more booths. I'm done.
I didn't say that. What are you talking about?
Yes, you did. You're like, you can talk to whoever you want, but I'm going to keep walking on. There's too much to see.
No, that's incorrect. That's incorrect, Mike.
That was true.
There's not as many booths here as we were hoping for, but I think we found some good stuff, and so we're going to actually be bringing in some folks today to talk to, interview, check out their new gear, innovations, snacks, gear from the future. Like, I think there's enough to warrant making this episode and coming out to Salt Lake. What do you think?
Yeah, I think so. We chatted with a lot of people yesterday, so I was really happy about that. Got to see some really cool brands that I hadn't seen before. Innovative technology. I was really looking forward to a titanium cup, though. Do you think you can score me one of those by the end of the show?
From where?
We can do Tokes. We can do Maxi. Mm-hmm. Is there anybody else here that does titanium cups?
There was supposed to be one more, I think. Yeah, I forget what the company was. But yeah, I don't know, like, how do you score a titanium cup? Like, you just want to grab it off their table?
No, you just say, I am Carl Mando Mandrioli, and I'm with Backpacking Blisters.
Stop with the Mando. Stop it.
Carl hates his new trail name.
I don't
just can't handle it.
I don't have a new trail name. Okay. All right, so anyway, so that's coming up. So we got lots of folks to talk to today, and we've got a Bible verse for the episode, Matthew 6:34. Therefore, do not worry about tomorrow, for tomorrow will worry about itself. Each day has enough trouble of its own.
That's right. It's my favorite Bible verse. Did you know that?
No, so you should be able to answer my question then, right?
Okay, what do you got?
So, Mike, are you worried about talking to all these high-end executives and asking them B&B-style ridiculous questions?
I wasn't nervous about it until you just said that.
Okay,
now I'm
so
nervous.
Now you're nervous.
Now I'm nervous.
So I need to ask the questions.
Yeah, no, I think I can cover it. We've already been talking to, we talked to Chris, the CEO of Enlightened Equipment, met some really famous YouTubers. So looking forward to seeing those guys again.
That doesn't really answer the question at all.
I think I'm going to do fine, though. I wasn't nervous around them last night, was I?
Kind of. Well, maybe more socially awkward, not nervous.
Okay. Yeah. Socially awkward is okay. Nervousness is not okay.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to find out. All right, so here we go. We're jumping in, and we're just going to cycle through. We're going to have interesting conversations. You're going to find out what's new gear coming up right now.
That's right. So we went and grabbed Chris from Enlightened Equipment, one of my favorite companies. Chris, how you doing today?
I'm doing great, man. Yeah, thanks for asking.
Absolutely.
All right, so you were on our show last year. Appreciate you coming back.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, and so in last year, you told a story about how Darwin on the trail, like, he wore one of your jackets for, like, I don't know, I think it was like 2 through hikes.
Yeah.
And you saved it. I think you said, like, you hung the smelly jacket, like, above your desk, and it was just like, hanging there for a while. Like, is it still there, or what's going on with that?
Yeah, it's funny that we got it back. I mean, it was like one of these things that we had to almost get back just to see, because I think it had something like 5,000 miles on it, and so we knew of nobody that had put that kind of damage on a jacket, and we saw some pictures, and it was just nasty, and so we got it back in. He actually sent it in. We cut the thing open, and it was just like patchouli, emerges from the box.
Wow.
But this thing was just shot and beat, and it went around, and everybody in the office got to kind of take a look at it. The brave, would touch it. It was like crispy.
Okay.
But yeah, it was. It kind of sat there for a while, and we evaluated. We were actually pretty surprised at how intact it was.
Yeah.
But, yeah, the update really is that when we were looking for some potential partnerships for, like, down service and tech wash cleanings, we stumbled into this company called eClean, which we'd highly recommend. We endorse them on the website, but it's a liquid CO2 cleaning process that will sanitize and restore loft of synthetic and down products. And they say like near 100% loft restoration on down. So really good at getting oils and grease and things out of there. And so we could think of no better jacket to test, how well it actually did than Darwin's. Plus it just was sitting back there kind of with like its light aroma. So we sent it in. And I think we took some before and afters, and it didn't have quite the same charm afterwards for sure, but it definitely wasn't stinking up the place anymore. So.
Okay.
So I got a follow-up question for you with that then.
Yeah.
Since you cleaned it, do you think it lost its value?
Most definitely.
Okay. It brought down the value by getting the stink out.
Yeah, we definitely joked about putting up some kind of auction for Darwin's jacket, or like putting it inside of a case that had like a scratch and sniff sticker or something.
Oh my gosh! Oh my god!
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah, just included on the tour.
Scratches.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
So like, what does it take? I mean, like, for me to get to Darwin's level where I could have a jacket that I wear forever and never wash, and you would actually hang on to it as some sort of prize. Like, what do I need to do? How do I qualify?
Yeah, that is a good question. I don't think that anybody else has kind of risen to that level. I think it's like we know it when we smell it, kind of thing,
Okay.
I think he's one of the rare ones that we actually took it back and kept it and held it there.
That's hilarious.
Because there was so much value in the
it was
distance
just
that you
like,
put
this
on
is
it.
the Darwin 7D burnt graphite,
Yeah.
Never get too
thing.
much.
That thing was infamous. I remember even at like AT days, seeing him on, and people were coming up to him and asking him, "Do you got the jacket?" And he's like, "Sure do." And he'd be pulling it out of his backpack.
Oh, so he had a lot of play from that. That's great.
Yeah, so that thing was popular for sure. I'm sure he helped us sell a lot of them.
Right on, man. All right. So let's talk about Enlightened equipment, Mike.
Yeah.
Like, what you got?
So I have your quote. I bought it long before I met you, obviously, and I love it. I actually sent it back. Got the 20 degree. I sent it back. Had you guys drop it down to 10 degrees for me, and that thing keeps me so warm. And I was so surprised.
That's great.
That with being able to use it with the straps and tucking under the pads, we had it down to about 32 degrees.
Sure.
We sectioned part of the GDT. I wasn't comfortable. I was warm in that thing. So
that's cool. What quilt did you end up getting? Like a Revelation?
Revelation.
Flip box? Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean that's. I think at this point, I'm not even sure to hazard a guess. I think we're probably have cracked 100,000 Revelations that we've sold over the years. That thing is just tried and true.
It is.
The Enigma has really started to pick up some steam over the years. We're starting to see like a little bit more of like a take rate on those. The Revelation still dominates everything, but the Enigma definitely is pretty popular. This year we started offering converts to the retailers on our wholesale portal. And so we've started to sell quite a bit of the converts. People are actually coming up to the booth now and saying like, "Oh, hey, I got a convert," or they know what they're looking at, which is just a good kind of hybrid sleep system, quilt or sleeping bag.
Right.
Those are the three, yeah.
For those out there, can you explain the convert to us?
Yeah, so the convert is, it's cut differently. It's a differential cut, so the liner and the shell are different sizes, which allows it to kind of fit around you more like a sleeping bag, as opposed to just kind of a flat blanket. It has a full zipper and a draw cord bottom, and then has a snap on the 20-inch part of the zipper. So you can basically convert it into a Revelation. You can draw it shut. You can build the foot box. It still has the pad attachment stuff. And so you can use it like a quilt, but those nights that you want to be in more of a full sleeping bag, you can kind of tuck everything in, full zip it, and you're kind of in a sleeping bag mode at that point.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, the Conundrum is the newest quilt. And it's kind of the same idea, except that it's more like the Enigma foot box. So you have a permanent, dimensional foot box that at the 20-inch picks up a zipper and goes the rest of the way.
Okay.
So kind of those are the two kind of hybrid styles we offer.
Gotcha.
Are you still seeing people a little bit shy about going over to the quilt, a little unsure about it? So
I think less. Like that part of the show seems to be less. We're having to explain, the whole what is a quilt thing to everybody. People are now coming up to the booth with like a little bit more knowledge about like, okay, I understand the idea of sleeping on the sleeping pad. Yeah, that's where I'm getting the insulation down low, and the quilt is, above. And so it is a little bit more mainstream, I think, at this point.
Yeah, for sure.
I definitely think like companies like REI, releasing a quilt, in their space, like that starts to kind of just broaden awareness about kind of your options at least.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you got a jacket coming out this year.
Yeah, so we came out with the Outcast, which is a collaboration with Darwin's company Evolved. That's been doing really good. That's more of like an active layer, higher breathability. You have power stretch in the in the side panel and in pits, so you can kind of move more air out of there. It's a little more durable. It's a 30D ripstop, kind of high grade ripstop on the outside, so a little snag proof going on there. And we are kind of experimenting with a couple other kind of in-between jackets. We're looking at some of the Polar Tech Alpha things that are out there, potentially marrying something like that with our taffetas, so that we could kind of be in the middle of like a Wind Pro, wind jacket meets a little bit of insulation. So some of those jackets are coming out at like 5 ounces or something, they're still really good at insulating and shedding wind.
Yeah,
so
that's
highly
impressive.
compressible.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
I saw that jacket too, and it's something that I'd probably honestly wear to the off, just an overall jacket, around town jacket.
Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that's we've been kind of really like niche and specific in the marketplace for a long time, and so I think offering something like the Outcast lets anybody be able to hang it on their hook. I wore mine all winter, taking to the office, taking dogs for quick walks and things like that.
In Minnesota, which is not just your average winter.
Yeah, it's pretty chilly. I would sometimes use it as like a mid or something like that and throw something heavier over it. But for the quick in and out of cars, and it's great. Yeah.
Right on.
Quick run to the grocery store. I love
Perfect.
it.
Hey, Chris, man, thanks so much for joining the show. We really appreciate your time. And,
of course.
And just appreciate all you do for the outdoor industry, man.
Thank you guys very much. Appreciate you guys too.
Yeah.
Have a good rest of the show.
All right, so we did an episode back in January. Were we predicting like backpacking trends that were going to die in 2024?
Sure.
This was not my prediction. This is Derek's prediction. He predicted the quilts were going to die. I don't know what he was thinking. He hasn't even used a quilt. Based on what we just heard from Chris from Enlightened Equipment, what do you think about that?
I don't think quilts are dying, but it was interesting that he was talking about that maybe the outdoor space is running. People are running out of money to be able to spend on this stuff.
Yeah, it says before we started interviewing, right? He had that comment about how outdoor industry peaked in 2021, I think is what he said.
Yeah, which I think it would have it started back when that book Reese Witherspoon's movie
Wild
when it came out. I think that's when it boomed, and it's still been booming. COVID just escalated a little bit more, and now we're seeing a downturn of it.
I don't think there's a downturn. It's
I don't
not
think
on the
so
trails.
either.
What he was saying too was it just some of this equipment just lasts a long time, so you don't need to keep on restocking. Obviously, if you're really into gear, you're always looking to upgrade. There's those people, but the bulk of the people are they want to buy it and keep it for a while, right?
Oh yeah, I know what I was going to talk about. That CO2 technology, cleaning technology.
Yeah.
So I know somebody that has a really bad sleeping bag. Do you think Chris would want to take that and see if it would take the smell out of that one?
He already tested it. You have to give it to the company itself.
Exactly. We should send it in. We need to get that thing cleaned.
I mean, what's it like? At what point do you take it to the CO2 company versus trying Nick Wax or something like that?
Well, what he was talking about, it brings back the loft, and that's what people are worried about when they wash their sleeping bags, is that the loft is going to be taken away from it. So if this technology will guarantee that the loft comes back, or that it won't, wreck the loft in the sleeping bag, I'm all for it.
Just sounds expensive, right?
It does. I wonder what the cost is. Maybe we can look it up. We'll throw the price up on the screen or down below.
If I have time.
Exactly.
All right.
All right, so we went and grabbed Mike from Outdoor Element. Mike, how you doing today, buddy?
Doing great, man. Love being here. Love meeting a bunch of new people. It's been a great time.
Cool. Awesome.
Yeah, so you got kind of an interesting story. You went from a career in the aerospace industry to just making fire. How does that happen?
You fall in love with the outdoors and peculiar things happen. So I loved aerospace. It was a good gig. I was working for the Air Force as a contractor for Sierra Nevada.
Is it wide enough?
S&C in the Denver area. It was a good gig, and I just I ended up going hiking with some friends discovered what a 14er was. I'm a Texas defect. Discovered what chiggers aren't, and not having fire ants and no humidity and having this beautiful backdrop of mountains. And I'm like, where has this been my entire life? So I grew up like a Boy Scout, right? I was an Army brat, and kind of forgot about that. In Texas, it's like summer comes and you want to stay inside. It gets so hot. So I was blessed to go through a layoff in aerospace. That's the way it is sometimes. Usually you just get a job really quick. It's like 2-3 weeks. You have another job later. And so at one point, my wife's like, hey, are you tired of Texas? And I'm like, kind of am. It's hot here, right? And so we just picked a beautiful location. Like, let's move to Colorado. And that's how we decided, you know. And fortunately, I was able to land an awesome job in aerospace again. And then I went on that trip with my buddy, did a 14er, and met this girl coming down. She had rolled her ankle, and I had a little first aid kit on me, so I wrapped it up, sent her on her way. And then when I got to the top of this mountain, Mount Yell, I had this moment. I'm like with 3 dudes, and I'm like, why do I want to cry? You know, it's like, I don't understand. And I'm like looking the other way, you know, I'm like, I see the curvature, like, why is it making me like emotional? And I just feel like I had like inspiration. I had a Moses moment, if you will. I went to the mountain and talked to my maker or something. And so I came back down like a different person. You know, I was like maybe there in Colorado, maybe a few weeks, no more than 6 weeks when I did this trip. Okay. And decided like, this needs to be my journey, you know. And so I did some Kickstarter campaigns. Like my wife wasn't nuts. Like, oh, let's just go do something, you know. Like, you can quit your job, you know. Forget the benefits, you know. And so we did some Kickstarter campaigns, and like it resonated. This is the fire beaner. I have a little fire starting carabiner that we launched on Kickstarter years ago, and we did well. It's like over $100,000 in 30 days, and people were like, oh, you get it. I get it. Like, it resonated. You know, my native name is Bodaway, which means fire maker. So I just leaned on that for like inspiration's sake. You know, like, hey, if I'm gonna design something, let's like lean on some roots, right? Yeah. And so I started doing that, and then that started resonating with my community, outdoor community. And my boss approached me. He's like, "Are you gonna quit your job?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Like, I might need to."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
He was catching wind of you.
Yeah, your boss is aware of your success outside of the job.
Yeah, and you know, and he was gracious. And by the way, he's Texan too, so he was like, we got along really well. And he approached me and said, hey, if you leave, like, come back if it doesn't work. He's like, you have a safety net here. We love what you did for us. And just know that your job will be here if it doesn't work.
Fantastic.
So it was an awesome way to exit the traditional 9-to-5 workplace as an engineer. But it was like once you start down this journey, I don't know, I tell my wife now, like, hey, mommy, we're poor, but we're poor with vision. We're poor with hope. And it's like, there's poor, and there's like happy poor, right? We're on that happy side of poor because we have this hope about us. And for me, it's all about, like, I love creating, I love designing, and I love the outdoors. And to put those two together, I felt like that was where it worked for my life.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's been a cool journey.
That is a cool journey, man.
So you showed us the carabiner with the lighter, and I'm excited to take that on the trip with me, or the trail with me, because we're going to throw up some B-roll, but you got it lighting the stoves. It actually light the stoves. I see you brought your knife with you. I'm really interested in the knife too. And then what else do you have that we should be talking about with backpacking?
Yeah, so there's a few things I make. A lot of it's themed towards fire making. I have branched out more around the camp kitchen and the base camp items. One thing I make that it's like kind of like the opposite of fire, preventing fire, is called a handled product. And so many of us have a couple of pain points when it comes to our camp kitchen setup. I camp with like isobutane canister and a pocket rocket, MSR type thing, right? Small stove. And my two pain points were occasionally I would burn my hands on those integrated handles on the pots. Right?
Yes.
In fact, one time I was making lunch and I asked my daughter to grab the pot and pour it into the mountain house, right? And then like Father of the Year award here, she grabs it and just totally burns herself. I'm like, oh, I'm an idiot. I'm sorry for having you do that, you know?
Yeah.
And then I do it like 2 weeks later. Like, I'm like, what? You know, for some reason I don't learn my lessons, right? And so I figured there's got to be a better way to do this. And so I created like an external pot gripper, which is not unique. There's other companies that make these things, but I like embrace the idea. It's like, we don't need these integrated handles. They get hot and they look like, some of them have plastic coatings or silicone coatings and you think they're not hot and you grab them and you burn yourself. Yeah. And so I use this external pot gripper. My other pain point was those isobutane canisters. We're not supposed to throw them away or recycle them unless they've been pierced, unless they've been depressurized. Okay. And I just like intuitively made a collection in my house of like, these are empty, I probably shouldn't throw them away. So I just had this trash can full of like,
oh my gosh,
maybe had a little bit of fuel in there. They're like, I can't take it. It's not enough. And after doing some blogging and reading blogs about this thing, I'm like, oh, we got to poke holes in these things. And I foolishly took a knife and stabbed it, right? Nothing happened to the canister, poked a hole in it, but my hand slipped and I slit my pinky open. And I'm like, that's not a good idea. Like,
so don't do that one again.
And so I took my pot gripper and I integrated this like piercing puncture point depressurizer nut. It's on the end of it, and so I can screw it onto what you think is an empty canister, and it depressurizes it, and then it acts as like a nice lever, so I can poke holes in it, and that makes it available for recycling at that point.
Okay.
You take a canister and it's depressurized with holes in it.
Yeah, that's interesting.
Then your local recycle centers will take those on. So you can either throw them away or you can go recycle. So I call it handled. Get your camp kitchen handled. So you can go check that out. OutdoorElement.com. We also sell it at REI. But it's one of those things that, like, I realize that it's a greater problem that most of us don't realize we have. I did a survey, 1,100 outdoor enthusiasts took the survey, and 66% of them came back and said they had no idea they're supposed to pierce those canisters before they throw them away. So they end up in landfills most of the time, right? And that's where the fires happen. Anecdotally, I talked to the Commerce City Fire Department, and they said they go out 2 to 3 times a week during the summer months to put out fires at the landfill.
Jeez.
Because of those canisters.
Specifically because of those?
Because of those canisters, yeah. Okay. The small ones and also the larger propane Coleman canisters, like 1 pounders. So I made an adapter to conquer both of them. Use that same tool, and it'll poke holes in both of them. So that's like one thing that I want to create that conversation around the campfire. Has this little silver nut on the end, and I want people asking, like, what's that little dongle for? Like, what's that thing hanging on there for? It's like, let's create that conversation, prevent fires where they're not supposed to be. Like, I'm all about fires, but let's do it responsibly, right?
What if this is just what if question.
All right, let's go for it.
All right. So like your stove's going, and I don't know if you can even attach your device on there, but let's just say you pierce the canister while it's going.
You know, I've never played around with that.
I don't recommend it. I'm just curious. Is that like explosion? Is that going to be like a bomb at that point?
I think it has to screw onto it to be able to function.
Okay. Yeah, so if you my nut screws onto the top of it, so there can never be a stove attached.
Right.
Okay.
And then it pierces on the side, so the nut will depressurize it, and then the piercing point pokes holes in the side of it. I would never pierce a thing while anything's on. Like,
why not?
Why? Are you being serious right now? Why would you even think about that? I don't know if I want to go backpacking with them anymore.
Okay, next question. What about, like, you have a full canister and you attach your thing? Well, it just basically like aerosolize the gas.
Yeah, you don't want to do that. It's bad for the environment.
Okay, so don't do that.
You don't want it. So it's best practice is to burn it out.
Yeah.
It's just like at the very end, I felt like my canisters were empty.
Yeah.
And then I went to screw that on, and there's just like tiny little bit.
Like
you'll hear it kind of depressure. Especially like if you start when it's cold and like maybe the summertime happens and you're like, let's do this, like that heat will expand that the gas on the inside.
Yeah.
Just pressurize. It's a pressurized system. Right? It's designed to be pressurized, right?
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And so we might think it's empty. At altitude,
really.
bring it back down, and the heat of the day expands up. So there's always a little bit left in there.
Okay.
Is what I found, which like it's fine. Like it doesn't screw it. I try to burn it out where possible, but sometimes when you screw it, you hear that little depressurization happen.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of gas left in there.
So not a good prank, you're saying, to do that to somebody else.
I wouldn't do that.
Okay.
No.
All right. So Outdoor Element, where can we find your gear, man?
Yeah, a few places. You go to my website, outdoorelement.com, or on Amazon as well. I sell in about 120 mom and pop shops across the nation. I sell in REI and all 180 REI shops. And then there's like a few hundred, depending on time of year. We've broached about 2,000 Ace Hardwares. They're one of the first larger companies that picked us up.
Yeah.
They do operate kind of independently, and so each individual buyer needs to decide we're going to pick these up. But it's been fun to work with. I feel like Ace is the place. You go in and they're going to actually help you out. You know, they know where everything is.
Yeah.
As opposed to going to like a Home Depot or Lowe's, it's kind of like, shop by yourself type thing. They have everything there. Yeah. But it's kind of like a little harder to find help.
Okay.
Where Ace has been crazy helpful, and they were helpful to me to work with small business. And so I tell people, like, go shop big to support small.
I love success stories like that, man. Kickstarter to the Ace Hardware.
Yeah.
I love
and I'm still doing Kickstarter today. Like the knife that I brought. This is a new knife. It's VG10, nice premium stainless steel, holds an edge rather well. Rockwell hardness around 58 to 59. And then I feel like a way to cut, a way to make fire, and a way to signal are three things that I want to bring on any adventure with me, just in case something goes amiss. Be safe, be warm, be found, right? It's like, if you can create a fire, it's a game changer, but sometimes you need to process wood down to create your fire. So good to have a cutting device on you. So the back end of the spine is cut at a 90 degrees, so my sheath has an integrated ferro rod on it, and so I can scrape that and get some nice sparks going to light my fire.
I love it, man.
And then a way to whistle, right? So
back up a little bit. Back up.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought you were going long.
No, won't go hard at all.
Okay.
Yeah. So if you can breathe, you can blow. And if you're screaming and yelling, you get about 20 minutes or so, and you go hoarse.
Yeah,
and it'd be a shame to miss search and rescue
because of that.
Because you can't be heard. And so keeping a simple whistle on you is something easy to do that we often forgot about. Great. So I integrate it into many of my product line. I have 3 or 4 things that have whistles on them. And it's something that just set it, forget it, it's there for you. Yep. And if you need it one day, then hey, there you go. Maybe it scares off the bears too. I don't know.
I don't know if it's, we'll try that out.
Yes. We'll product test that one.
There we go. Yeah, let me know how that goes.
Mike, thanks so much for coming by, and thanks for all you're doing to innovate the outdoor industry, man. Appreciate you.
Absolutely.
Thank you, guys. Great talking to you.
All right.
Too.
Cool.
Okay, so we traditionally have not been, at least I haven't been a fan of having a carabiner on the trail, but this is I don't know, this plus all the other stuff he's making is kind of next level multi-tool stuff. So he's got a carabiner, and then it's got that little ferro rod fire starter, which is super easy to use. It kind of replaces the Bic lighter. It's got, what is this? It's got
a glass breaker.
Okay.
And it's got a seatbelt cutter also. So he kind of gave me he had 2 different products. He kind of gave me the bigger one, or the more robust one. Okay. And then it's got actual little nut turners.
Hex wrench kind of things?
Hex wrenches, there you go.
Yeah. So
really excited about this guy's products.
I'm curious because I know a lot of multi-tools do have the seatbelt cutter. Has there ever been a scenario where somebody happened to have that particular multi-tool and it saved their life or helped them in any way?
I'm sure we can find a ton of testimonials about it.
You think so?
Yeah, I do.
Okay.
Honestly.
I haven't heard of anybody personally that's done that. Have you?
No, thankfully I've never had to do that.
Okay. So anyway, Outdoor Element, check them out. Maybe have an actual useful carabiner that works as a carabiner, and then a few other things as well. It's kind of fun.
You might get a speed bump.
All right, so we went and grabbed Annie from Scratch Labs and came and sat down with us. How are you doing this morning?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Thanks so much. How are you guys?
Great. Thanks for joining us.
We're good, yeah. Scratch Labs is a company that I use a lot for nutrition. I like the chews, and I use it for endurance stuff. So, but I was kind of poking around on your website last night, and you guys have this cool post about sports myths. And so one of them is that if you drink when you're thirsty, it's already too late. I think we've even said that on our podcast before, thinking that that's not a myth, but that's a real thing. So how's that a myth?
Yeah, great question. I think part of the reason that sports nutrition is so tough is that a lot of the advice that's out there is for maybe the non-active person. So then when you get into a situation where you're sweating, where you're working hard, the rules are different, and so it can be hard to sort through that information because what's geared at sort of your average American may not suit the active person. So the great thing about using a sports drink is that you can trust your thirst if your sports drink has enough sodium. So your thirst mechanism is related to the level of sodium in your blood. So as long as you're replacing the water, which is obviously what most people think of first when they're thinking of hydration, but also the sodium, because that's the primary electrolyte you lose when you're sweating, then you can trust your thirst mechanism. So you don't need to get ahead of it or, kind of try to predict how thirsty you're going to be. That will then calibrate both. But it's really important that you're replacing both water and sodium. I don't know if you're familiar with hyponatremia, but that's the syndrome of drinking too much water. If someone is running a marathon, for example, and they're only replacing the water that they're losing, they're actually diluting the sodium in their sweat, and that's when you can get into trouble.
Is that when you start feeling the water kind of sloshing around in your stomach, it's not absorbing into your body?
Well, that's interesting. I don't know that those are necessarily tied. The symptoms of hyponatremia are actually really similar to dehydration, confusion, headache, which can be kind of confusing, which is why, to really replace both together is so key.
Okay.
Another kind of tricky thing about sweating and about hydration is that we all need different amounts of sodium.
Okay.
So people lose a range of sodium in their sweat, anywhere from 400 milligrams in a liter all the way up to 1,600 milligrams or more.
That's a lot. That's a massive range.
It's a huge range.
Wow.
And a lot of it's genetics, but each person, even within their kind of zone, will vary quite a bit depending on the weather, what you're wearing, certain variables. So,
like, can I go to like a salt doctor to determine?
So that's what it's a great question.
Some tests.
There are sodium sweat tests available. If you're ever in Boulder, Colorado and want to come by, we do offer them. They are kind of hard to come by sometimes, but one really cool thing is that there are companies coming out with products that help measure sweat rate. I know, for example, like Apple is working on a feature for the watch that will help measure that
like it
type
will
of
measure
thing.
the sodium content in each drop of sweat.
Yeah, that's the idea.
Wow.
I don't know how accurate. I think they're not super accurate yet.
Okay.
But even to get a sense of what your general range is can be really helpful to folks.
Okay.
The sort of rudimentary way to do it is to weigh yourself before exercise and after, and that weight loss is actually mostly going to be water weight.
Right.
Okay.
And so if you're drinking enough sodium, like that weight loss would be minimal. Like anything beyond 2 to 3% body weight, you're going to start to see performance affected.
Okay.
So the goal is, like, if you're getting past that, like, you really want to be drinking more water and sodium.
Okay.
Yeah. So you tested them out on athletes, but did you do testing on like average Joes too?
Great question.
And Janes, sorry.
I mean, I think the way that we think about that is, the sports nutrition principles and the physiological principles are the same all the way up and down. So for the average Joes and Janes, maybe you and I, and the very elite and pro athletes out there, I think with those folks that are maybe performing at the highest level, they kind of, the smaller tweaks maybe affect them more, or they're using things at a higher concentration. So they're almost like the canaries in the coal mine, where you'll see those impacts maybe sooner, or they sort of feel the impacts more acutely. But the reality is the science is going to be the same. And so we use that as our testing ground, but by no means do we purport to be or aim to be a brand for elites only. I think the goal is that we use what we're learning there for everyone, because it really, the science, we all sweat and we all lose sodium, and so it's, in our sweat. So it's things like that where we just feel like that's a great place to get maybe the most, like by testing at that most intense level, we can extrapolate really well for everyone.
Cool.
Yeah.
Okay, so all that said, you're here, you're at the show, you're pushing, you got something new, right? You got a new product?
Yeah, we do.
What you got going on?
Yeah, we're pretty excited about it. It's an everyday hydration drink mix. So it's a unsweetened version of our sort of flagship cornerstone product, our sport hydration drink mix.
Okay.
We love sugar at Scratch Labs. Not only do we think it's delicious, but in sport, it's a really important fuel, simple carbohydrate. In the context of exercise, it's not only is it nothing to be afraid of, it really does your body good. But we have heard from our customers and experienced ourselves that while we love to drink Scratch out on a run or on a hike, sometimes we want to hydrate at our desks, or, just in a broader set of scenarios. So this not only expands sort of the appropriate use of our hydration line, it also gives folks endless flexibility. So going back to that range of sodium that folks lose in their sweat, say I'm at 400 milligrams per liter and you're at 1,200 milligrams per liter.
Probably true.
Probably.
Right. Yeah. Our sports drink is right at the top of the bell curve. So we the amount of sodium in a serving of sport drink mix and everyday drink mix is right at the top of the bell curve. So for most people, it's going to be good. But if you're a super salty sweater, or you're going to go out for a couple hours and you don't want to carry much water with you maybe want to just bring one bottle, but you'll need a lot of electrolytes, you can add some extra electrolyte to your sports drink. So it's just flavored with real fruit. It won't add carbohydrate. It won't make it super sweet. It won't add a ton of flavor. But then you can get exactly the amount of sodium that you need.
Okay.
And you're good to go. So it enables that customization, and it also enables a broader sort of application of hydration. It's also sweetened only with real fruit. So there's a lot of sugar-free. There's a lot of sugar-free options out there, but most are sweetened with what we call non-nutritive sweeteners, which just means there's no sort of nutritional value, like stevia. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with them, but we just know that a lot of folks don't love that taste.
Right.
So if you're looking for something a little bit milder, it's just the real fruit. So it's almost like that squeeze of fruit in your water kind of vibe. So
and it was good. We stopped by and I think all 4 of us had a different flavor that we loved.
Oh,
too,
nice.
so.
That's great.
Like
Hopefully there's something for everyone.
Yeah, exactly. It was good stuff.
Right on. All right, hey, Annie, great job.
Yes.
Thank you. I feel like I learned a lot about
I did too.
hydration and nutrition and salt doctors. So
right, yeah, they exist.
Thank you.
Sort of.
All right, so thank you so much for coming on the show.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Annie from Scratch Labs, man. So. Nice. Yeah, one of the more interesting things that she said was that they're coming out with technology where they can kind of measure your salt output or how much salt you're losing, and they're going to have some sort of measuring thing on the Apple Watch. Interest level on that?
I think it's fascinating with the Apple Watch. I know they have all the rings that do that kind of thing, so I'm excited to see the new technology. If it can
What's the rings?
The EV rings that measure your mood, your sleep, all that kind of stuff. And there's another one, Movano's coming out with one that is for diabetes. So to test it, so you won't have to prick yourself anymore.
Yeah.
Now we got the Apple Watch to measure our salt. What else do we need?
I know. I mean, we are talking about gear from the future, so that this is like on brand for the episode. But I'm not the guy doing like the heart rate measuring stuff with the heart rate monitor. I'm not like counting my steps. People love the data, so I'm not like a data person as much. Is this just kind of feeding into this like data mindset, or is this like does everybody need this, do you think?
I think that we do need it because we don't know what those levels are like on an average daily basis. So it'd be nice at a glance of your watch to be able to measure that kind of stuff and say, oh, I'm a little low on electrolytes. I need to fuel up.
Right. She also said like if you're tastes good, keep drinking. Basically, if you need that salt,
you're not going to overdose on it, kind of thing.
I mean, I'm sure you're not going to get it perfect, but
exactly,
nothing's perfect. So
I love it because I'm a techie guy. So I look forward to Apple sponsoring us and giving us one of the watches to test out.
Okay, yeah, sure, for sure. All right, thanks again to Scratch Labs. Hello, welcome Gigi from Nara. How's it going today?
It's going well. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on the show. All right, so you got a product that we are excited to talk about. And I've got Jendiana here with me as co-host for this interview. So Jen, what you got?
Thanks, Carl. So Gigi, you have come up with a very clever and innovative product. Can you tell us how you got your idea and what the product is?
Yes. So the product is the patented GoFly zipper technology, and I got the idea for this while I was working as a glacier guide in Alaska. So I was up on the Mendenhall 8 to 12 hours a day, usually as the only woman, and in comparison to the guys who could turn around, unzip, go wherever, whenever, I found myself having to trek across the glacier, carefully avoiding crevasses, completely remove 3 to 4 layers in freezing temperatures, do my thing, put it all back on, and hike back to work. And that process was such a waste of time and energy that left me feeling cold for hours after, to the point where I started dehydrating myself, which also was not a great option as a guide responsible for others who should be at peak physical performance but is dehydrated. And so I kind of just got obsessed with this idea and did a deep dive on the history of women's pants, or the lack thereof. And even here in the United States, through the 70s and 80s, women were not permitted to wear pants or shorts at colleges and universities. Women were not permitted to wear pants on the floor of the U.S. Senate until 1993. So it actually makes a lot of sense that very little innovation has happened in this space, because women have not been wearing this product for very long, not that many decades, and it wasn't designed for us in the first place.
Right.
So I knew there had to be a better way, and the better way is the GoFly, and I can kind of describe how it works.
Yeah, go for it.
So there is a top zipper to get the product on and off, followed by this second secret zipper that begins at the base of the normal fly, and it extends all the way to the back of the product. So whether it's number 1 or number 2, the GoFly's got you. And it is
that rhymes.
climbing harness compatible, backpacking hip strap compatible. The idea being this holds up in something as technical as breaking a world record, which just happened in our stuff, or summiting Kilimanjaro, or being on a multi-pitch climb and not removing any safety equipment, and is also a great option for walking your dog, or a music festival, or a little backyard woods hike, for example.
For sure.
And the pants arrived right as I was packing for this trip. So I got the pleasure of packing them along for the Outdoor Retailer Show, and I wore them all day long yesterday. And I can attest to the fact that they are quite comfortable, and they have numerous well thought out features, really large pockets, ladies like pockets too.
Yes.
And I really appreciate the roll tabs at the bottom so that you can turn them into a capri if it's a little warm. And so I was just really impressed. They're very comfortable. I didn't have to like pull, tug, or hike at all, not once yesterday while I was wearing your pants. So.
And you looked great. It was because you were wearing them that I actually recognized.
Right.
I was like, funny. Who is that woman? She looks great. Those are our pants.
She's got some fancy pants.
I felt very cute all day long. So.
All right. Like, you're no stranger to the Outdoor Retailer Show. You've actually won back-to-back innovation awards here. So, like, tell us about that. How do you win the award? Like, what's the story with that?
The Outdoor Industry or Outdoor Retailer Trade Show has been an integral part of Nara, previously She Fly's scaling story. And we started going to the show while we were still in college, so we were sleeping on friends' couches, which is honestly what we're still doing. And our first ever show, Dovetail, huge fans of Dovetail, shout out to Dovetail, they allowed us to set up and take down their booth in exchange for volunteer passes to walk the floor. And so our first year, we were walking the floor with another brand's pants that we'd ripped the crotch seams out of and sewn in a lime green Joann fabric zipper. They looked horrendous, but they were fully functional. And that was our first show here. And then by 2022, 3-4 years later, we had won our first Outdoor Retailer Innovation Award, which in this industry is kind of the symbol of what is the newest, most innovative, most inclusive, cutting edge technology. Yeah. And so to go from walking the floor with terrible prototypes to standing on stage giving an acceptance speech at this trade show was a really, really awesome journey for us as a brand, and a pretty cool milestone for us. And then we won again in 2023 for a similar GoFly design, but in a different product. So that was for pants and shorts. They featured that GoFly. This GoFly that we're launching later this year is in leggings that are both layerable with the pant or function as a standalone item. And then to be at the show this year in 2024 and to have our first licensing deal and to have a pair of overalls that have the GoFly in them is really, really cool.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thank you.
I really love your energy around them, and I love the fact that you cannot feel this zipper. I know that you said you started with an ugly lime green zipper.
Yeah.
I can attest to the fact that you cannot tell that this zipper is there, and it secretly brings me a lot of joy to know that there's a lot of women walking around with this like hidden zipper that no one would know about. I think it's really fun, and it's really comfortable.
I'm happy to hear that. That is, I'd say that what you just touched on is actually what makes marketing this kind of challenging at times, because it's so discreet and so comfortable that it's not obvious that it's there. And that's the first point. And then the second point is that we're marketing something that has never existed. And so it's kind of like selling someone on something they didn't know they needed because they didn't know it was possible. They know the problem and the pain point well, but there hasn't been a good solution until now. And so we're always kind of walking that line of marketing a new thing and trying to make it really obvious, even though in reality it's quite discreet. That's the whole reason people wear it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay, Gigi, so right now you have an exciting Kickstarter campaign going on right now. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yes, so our first licensing deal for the GoFly to hit the market is in collaboration with Liveston Designs, based out of Bentonville, Arkansas. And in the past, they have primarily focused on men's pants and other products, but specifically a male audience. And now they're expanding into women's. And so this overall has been a really cool collaboration. It features their EcoTrek fabric, which is made out of 100% recycled fishing buoys, and then our patented zipper technology. And so we're bringing the best of both worlds together into this product. And the value add of the GoFly is huge in this product because it's not just pulling your pants down, it's taking everything off. Traditionally, when women are wearing overalls or jumpsuits or flight suits or anything of that nature, as you know, the pain point is that much greater. And so this went live today on a Kickstarter campaign. You can find it on their website under Liveston Designs. And the goal was $10,000. We surpassed that in the first couple of minutes. So
that's
4
so
hours.
Exciting.
Yeah,
Congratulations.
Really Thank you. We're 4 hours in now and just past 65K, so we're on track for it to be their most successful Kickstarter campaign ever, which we're really excited about, and I think speaks to the demand for this technology and the brand loyalty that both Nara and Liveston have, and to bring that together has been really special.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, so for those who have not purchased your design, your clothing, like where do they go? Where do we find this?
You can find all Nara Go There products on our website, www.nara.com. That's GNARA.com. And then on social media, where we have a really strong following, all of our handles are at Nara_apparel.
Okay, and we'll have that in our show description. Gigi, you've been great. Thank you so much for all that you do for the outdoor industry.
Thank you.
Thank you
for having me.
All right, Jen. So you were the one that kind of tracked down Gigi. You truly like her pants.
I really feel like they solve a need for the average female in the backcountry. There have been several situations in the backcountry where I have needed to go to the bathroom and it's put me in a compromising position.
Right.
And so I think it is an excellent solution to a very real problem for us ladies.
Fair enough. Okay. Now, her pants, they are a premium price. Like, how much are they running?
This is a luxury pair of pants for sure. This isn't going to be your entry level, cheaply made pant. They're coming in retail at $168 on our website. However, she did offer us a coupon code for 20% off. And so I think that helps for anyone who is curious and wants to give them a try. I think you will find that they are very well made and very well worth that price point.
Okay. They had other features as well that I think you're pointing out for kind of a premium pant. But yeah, the coupon code is backpacking20. Backpacking is in all caps. Backpacking20 if you want to get the 20% off, and check out our website. And like I said, we're going to have that in the show description. All right. Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome. Thanks, Carl.
All right. We're here with Gordon from Granite YouTube channel. We just met him yesterday. He's got an outdoor adventure survivalist YouTube channel. He's got comedy sketches. He's got a lot of stuff on there, man. Like, super impressive. And this is one of our favorite parts of the show is meeting you. Welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah. We hope to have you on for a full episode, but we love hearing different perspectives. Outdoor retailer show. So this is your first show, I think?
It is, yeah, first show.
Okay.
Yeah, I was born in Utah, but coming back here to the show, first time seeing everything. It's awesome.
Yeah. Okay. So it is awesome. So what's awesome about it? What's catching your eye here?
Well, what's catching my eye is I like the Teton stuff.
Okay.
They're coming out with some really cool aesthetic upgrades to their packs.
Right.
And that really caught my eye. I was like, that looks like an expensive backpack, but they're actually reasonably priced.
That's kind of they're usually like the entry-level market on Amazon, right?
Right. It seems like they're sort of elevating everything a little bit, like their weatherproofing and the aesthetic of their packs. It's cool. It's like a good branding. I feel like it's well aligned with the people that I serve on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So excited to talk to them.
All right.
Fire Maple.
Okay.
I really like those guys. I've done a lot of videos for them in the past.
What do you like about them? Like what's?
It's just I grew up on MSR stoves and whatnot and stainless steel pots and all that. So they create ultralight camp cookware and stoves and whatnot, and they have a very cool approach to their designs. They're very innovative and lightweight, and they just really they have a good feedback loop of design. So you mention something, they're gonna roll that right back into the next iteration and revision. So they're very cooperative with that.
You have the power to suggest something to them, and they will change their design based on your word.
I'm basically Thanos for the cookware industry. No.
I think what he's saying, Carl, is that we all have the power as consumers to be able to change the design.
They are listening. Yes.
Yes, they are.
Yeah.
Okay, so they take their our feedback, and they kind of, assuming that they're getting enough of it, they're going to roll it into future designs.
Right. They really want to make a good product. Yeah.
What's different about their stoves than, say, I don't know, anything else?
Yeah, they are always trying to create a very consistent burn with their burners at different altitudes, at different temperatures, which I appreciate. So they have preheat tubes on several of their stoves. They have just really good burner design, heat exchanger fins on their pots. Mm-hmm. They're really thinking about the airflow that's coming out of the jets, and all this stuff. It's very nerdy, and it translates into very consistent cooking, which I I have seen in the field.
Right.
So I like their stuff.
Okay.
And what I was surprised by meeting them in person here, which was really cool, is that they have this like heart for people in Western China. They want to help people that do not have access to stoves to make food. So they're donating their gear to these people.
So you're saying like in kind of more rural or poverty-stricken communities, they're using like backpacking stoves?
Yes, that's what they're saying. They say that the owner and the founder actually, that's one of his passions, is like just donating gear. I'm like, I don't know why we haven't heard this from you guys.
Yeah,
I'd love to tell that story. So yeah.
Some people are just humble, and they don't want to be bragging on this stuff.
Yeah.
That's good. So what kind of gear have you found that is surprised you? You walked by their booth, saw it, thought, wow.
Oh man, that's cool. There's a company that's just starting up, a knife company. I'm not going to remember their name. It's like it's like O something knives.
Okay.
Anyways, that was surprising to me because they've been a Japanese knife company and now they're bringing their product to the United States. Cool to see them. Yeah, I mean, other surprising things. I had this I went up the row of all of the electrolyte drink mixes, and I got, I swear, I had a gallon of electrolytes within 5 minutes.
So you're hydrated for this interview.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
But I had one of these packs that was like a Jello.
Yes.
Electrolyte.
In the refrigerator, the ones in the
Chargill,
refrigerator?
Chargill. I'm butchering the names, but
So it's kind of like it's marketed as like a gel, but it's kind of like a drinkable Jello.
Yeah.
And it's in kind of like almost like a juice box square size container.
Yeah.
And you like that?
I do. I like that. I think I like it because my son, I have a 5-year-old and a 1-year-old, and the 5-year-old likes those little packs of applesauce.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what it reminded me
It's
of.
very familiar to me. It's a snack.
Wait a minute, because you eat the applesauce packs too?
I eat them more than he does.
Okay.
Yeah.
They're really tasty, Carl. Haven't you tried them?
I haven't, because they're like little kid food. It's kind of like like the baby food, but just in like a different packaging, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
It's
right.
the best. I'm all about convenience, so if I can just throw those in my bag.
Okay,
that's
so
great.
you're thinking that's more for for kids,
Yeah.
day hiking. Because I was like, when we saw that, I was like, I don't know the scenario, but my kids are older now, so I guess I get it.
Yep.
Okay.
Pretty heavy for our conditions.
Yep.
Yeah.
So speaking of knives, you're a backpacker. Are you the backpacker that carries the Rambo knife on his calf?
I sure was. Yeah.
Were you?
The younger version of me. I used to teach wilderness survival school for kids, and that was me, man. I had the K-bar and all the heavy knives.
Yeah.
But since growing up, getting older, the knives get smaller.
Right.
The older I get, the blades get smaller because I just realized I don't need to have a gigantic blade on me.
Right.
I'm not going to slay a grizzly bear. It's not happening.
Not in Wisconsin.
You could
Not
possibly.
Wisconsin.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's
right.
true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
I mean, if the three of them that are at the zoo get free, then maybe. But yeah.
Okay. All right. So Grim Granite's your YouTube channel. So for people that have not checked it out yet, what do you have coming up, going on? Just anything you want to share about
totally.
the channel?
I've done a ton of short form over the last couple of years, comedy and whatnot, and I've since started to pivot a little bit more into camping because I just want to encourage people to take their next steps getting outside because I believe it can change somebody's life.
Okay.
And give them the confidence, give them a skill set, and point them in the right direction. Show them some gear that's affordable, and just get them out there. That's my goal. So I'm casting a little bit wider of a net with my content.
Okay.
I'm doing adventure videos, but it's nothing dangerous. I'm not doing the Bear Grylls thing.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So,
Not yet.
Stuff that not yet. Stuff that everybody could do.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's just from checking out his channel, he's got a ton of creative stuff. You did a kind of a apocalypse scenario with Walmart where you had limited funds, but then once you were out there, then you had these hourly challenges that you had to accomplish.
Yeah.
And so super creative, and I don't know, I value the creativity with
Appreciate
your
that.
stuff, man. So
I think what sets you apart, your channel apart, I went through a little prep phase.
Yeah.
Watched all the videos,
Sure.
and your videos are well thought out. They're well edited. They're well produced. You're a good speaker. Some of the other ones are just like a camera on a tripod on a hill watching the guy do this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I like your content, but
Right.
Yeah.
your stuff was really good.
sometimes those channels have amazing information.
They
it's
do.
Just like the packaging is like different,
Right.
So
That's well said. Well
takes
said.
all types.
Yep.
Takes
Yeah.
all types.
Right.
You can learn from everybody. Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm gonna hit you up this summer. We want you on for a full episode. We want to dig in. You get some good stories, man, that we're excited to hear about. So, but thanks for popping on here for a couple minutes.
Absolutely.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Yep.
Thanks.
All right.
Awesome.
You satisfy my needs. Sometimes I think that I
All right, Mike. So we kind of picked and chose folks that we thought would be good for the podcast, good interviews, and but now it's time to talk about kind of our observations, what we saw at the show, people, things, gear, whatever that haven't come up yet. So
Our favorites, the ones that blew our minds.
I don't think anything really blew our minds. Well, there's kind of one thing that did.
One thing blew my mind.
Yeah. Okay. So we got our top 2 or 3
Yep.
favorite things. All right. So Mike, what's one of yours?
All right, so I'm starting out from the bottom. So my number 3.
Rank 'em. Okay.
My
Yeah.
number 3 would be socks. I love socks, and we stopped by Right Socks, and he has a unique design where he puts liners and sewn inside of the sock. So you get a double sock, it's a liner and a merino wool sock. And not only do I love his design, but he gave me like 4 pairs to try out. So I'm really interested in.
So Mike might have gotten bribed to have them on the list. Is that
No.
Okay. No,
Not at all.
All right. So Right Socks, like WRIGHT. I think they're in
That's
a lot
right.
of outdoor stores, right?
They are. And for the merino wool double layer sock, it's only $22 for
Okay.
4 socks.
Right.
2 liners and 2 socks, right?
4 socks.
Yeah, it's a double layer sock.
Because you buy socks individually.
Right, exactly.
I guess so.
Technically,
I think isn't that how he was selling them? He was saying like you get like basically you're getting 2 socks per
yeah,
sock.
exactly.
Okay, I don't know that I'm buying that. Like I get that concept,
Right.
but it's still a sock. It's still a single sock. So
I'm interested.
Okay, I'll try them out. We'll kind of report back if that's something worth checking out. But yeah, they're similarly priced to socks that are just a single sock. So that's something to consider. All right, let's say my number 3. I am gonna go with the Swig Rig.
Ooh,
So this is something that I've got to try out. This is like an adapter for your smart water bottle. They've got one for the Nalgene bottle. This is where you can basically plug a hose with the cap onto your bottle and use it like a hydration reservoir. So what you do is you can still have your water bottle in the side pouch of your side pocket of your backpack, and then sling the hose through your shoulder strap and kind of suck through it that way, and it works essentially the same way, but obviously your bottle's easier to fill, easier to access. And if you like the hose kind of thing, it might be a solution to people that want the hose, but they don't want to deal with the reservoir.
right. Because we all know that Derek has had some problems with the caps coming off on the bag, right? So you eliminate that, the hydration bag.
Right.
And then didn't you have a lot of problems with setting your bag down and the bite valve would leak or something like that?
No, mine was more, this does not solve this problem, but my thought is that no matter how you set your bag down, that bite valve is going into the dirt.
Right,
No
that's
matter
true.
how. Yeah.
He does solve that problem because he's got a cap over his bite valve.
Yeah,
on
but
his-
the caps aren't new and they're just
they're
annoying.
not.
So yeah.
I haven't used a bite valve or one of those hydration bags in a really long time, but I'm really excited to try out the smart water bottle one. And he said he's coming out with some new technology where you don't have to bite the valve, you just suck on it and it opens the valve.
Yeah.
Excited to check them out.
Yeah, so that's Swig Rigs. That's my number 3. What's number 2?
Swig rigs. All right, so salt, electrolytes for recovery at the campsite, right? You got the lactose acids going on. You get up to camp. They are saying that they're going to improve your camp life. They're going to improve your just overall recovery while you're at camp. And we all know that the recovery is a big deal. Okay. And they had a really good flavor, the citrus flavor. Seriously was a good tasting product.
Okay.
They're rolling in for about $33 for 30 of them. It's just about $1 a pack.
And this is for salt with 2 T's.
Salt with 2 T's. That's
Okay.
right.
And so I'm interested in that one too, just because I think it's like a similar, I don't know, formula to Element, which I'm a big fan of in terms of like what Element actually does. But I think they had like pumped up potassium and magnesium, and it was less expensive. What was I think like 30% less expensive. So maybe like a cheaper version, but not like not a less quality version, just like a cheaper or more inexpensive version of
Inexpensive.
Element. Okay, so that's a good one. My number 2 is, this is hard because like I'm so excited about this company, like really excited about it.
Uh-oh.
But at the same time, I think it's ridiculous. So this is called Hypershell. And a couple of years ago, we had like one of those predictive episodes where I was like, what are they going to be the products of the future? And I said, okay, well, they've been making all these e-bikes, and it's making it easier for people to ride bikes around. They're going to make something like e-legs or something where it makes it easier to hike or to run. It's out, folks. It's out, and it's legit. And so I call it like leg helpers. Like it's kind of a harness that goes around your waist, and then it kind of straps underneath your legs, and then it kind of helps lift your legs up with technology that kind of increases the pace as you increase your pace and decreases as you decrease. So it's called Hypershell, and on one charge you can go up to 70 kilometers. So you technically could take it backpacking, and especially if you're kind of, like the faster you go, I think it's the faster it wears out the battery. And so this would be good if you have like really slow partners like Derek, who just kind of holds you up or whatever. Like they can maybe keep up with you, or maybe if you're the slow one, you don't hold people up, you could wear that. But they do, like, remember how we predicted how much they cost?
Right.
What did you say?
I said like 2 to 3.
What?
Was my prediction. $1,000.
Yeah. So it's lighter weight than I thought it would be, and it comes, and they even have like a carbon fiber version, but like their base model is $599. So
$599.
$599, and then if you want to go carbon fiber lighter weight, I think that was more in like the $1,400 range. So, but that is something as an option.
Yep.
And yeah, so that's my number 2. Let's do your number 1.
Well, just a little follow up with that one too. I don't know if you noticed the batteries too. They came up. You could have kind of like drone batteries. You set them in a docking station, and you can have a bunch of different batteries. So if you're going on a longer trip, you can carry those batteries, and they weren't that big actually.
Yeah. Okay.
And then you have the assistance of your legs, so it's not any extra weight.
Doesn't
I know
even matter.
exactly.
Yeah.
You can carry a big old full car battery if you want with these things. Maybe not. Don't try that at home.
Yeah. Okay. All
So-
right, sorry, number 1.
My number 1's kind of along the same lines as the batteries, but we came across a new power bank battery company, and these guys blew my mind because they're 10 milliamp hours. They're lighter than the Anchor battery packs, the same 10 milliamp hours. Actually, no, they're 10,200 milliamp hours.
So slightly more, yeah.
Slightly more, less weight. And you can take it down to negative 20 degrees.
If it's like shell on top, which is like super rugged, they're not going to get destroyed. At least that's what it appears to be like. Yeah.
I don't know. Do you sleep with your battery packs when you get into cold weather? Just to keep them warm at night?
Yeah, I think I have.
So these ones you don't have to sleep with it in the bottom of your pack.
Right. They said they actually like tested it out by putting it in a block of ice and leaving it there for how long was it?
Like a month. They forgot about it. They put in a block of ice and forgot about it.
Yeah, and they just left it there and they tested it out and it still held the charge.
Yeah.
So that's, I don't know, that's a good test right there.
We're going to be testing that one out for you guys, and we'll let you know how it works out.
Are you going to test it with a block of ice?
I can test it with a block of ice if you want me to. For the show. I'll do it for the show.
Yeah, you got to film that. That'd be cool. I would be curious. If it held the charge, it doesn't have to be for a month. It could be for like a week, whatever, but I'd be interested.
For sure.
Okay. And then let's see here. So my number 1 is, I don't even know how to say this, Claros Farms. Is that right? Claros.
Oh, is that the freeze-dried fruit?
Freeze-dried organic fruit.
Hydroponically grown, right?
Yeah, so it's grown like in Turkey, and they figured out how to take the water out, leave the nutrients in. They had like all these samples out, and I grabbed mulberries. That's right, mulberries. And I was like, okay, I don't know what a mulberry can taste like. And then I ate it, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is like candy. It's like so sweet. And I was like, oh, they probably added a ton of sugar to this. And I was in the back, and there's only one ingredient. It's like organic mulberries. That was it. So then I grabbed the figs and the tangerines, and then all the other like the blackberries. I was like, this is the best stuff. And so I think, I don't know, like they said they were sold out online, but hopefully by the time this comes out, like they'll be resupplied. But if you're looking for, just like some fruit, some fiber for your trip, like it literally tastes like candy. The tangerine was also one of the really good ones, and they were impressive. And I think they're a company that's like expanding, so they're gonna get into like kind of the cheese and some other dehydrated stuff, right?
Yeah, they weren't. They said that they're gonna get into more.
No, sorry, not dehydrated, freeze-dried stuff.
Freeze-dried stuff. Yeah. You can throw that stuff in like your oatmeals in the morning if you wanted to. There's a lot of different uses for that stuff.
If you're still eating oatmeal for breakfast on backpack trips, first of all, I'm sorry, that's like a rough morning, but
cold oatmeal?
Yeah, cold soak oatmeal especially.
Yes.
I mean, oatmeal's
Throw it
good
in
for
there.
you.
It's gonna make it better.
It's good for you. I get it, but it's just not very exciting.
It's not very exciting.
Maybe more exciting with this stuff though.
But it will be with these new freeze-dried tangerines and mulberries.
Right. Okay. So that's it, and I think that's it for the show.
Yeah.
Is that all you got?
Did you have a good time?
I had a great time hanging out with you. We had Jendiana here. We had my son Max on.
That's right.
On the cameras,
the producers,
and doing some of the tech stuff. Had a great time with everybody. That being said, yeah, this show had some really good companies. I don't know. It's kind of on the downside. This might be our last show, though.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So thanks for those who are interested in the new and the futuristic gear and the things that are coming out. We're going to have to find a different show to go to.
Okay, just let me know. I'll be there.
All right.
The show will fly me out, right?
Probably.
Me
probably.
Out. Okay.
All right.
You guys heard it here. We'll keep on that.
That's so funny. All right, so that's it, and God bless you. Have a great week, everybody.